you had one recording, one that was just refused, right? Is that right?
Right. We've had refusals for a bunch of reasons. There seems to be no consistency with the judges with whether they're refusing or accepting. No consistency of judgments with whether they will release even sentencing transcripts or full transcript, and no consistency even in the kind of process. So some courts have accepted incomplete forms, and the information is very, very, very difficult to find. There's no one central repository that you can access court records, and you need things like the name of the room, the precise dates of the trial, the name of the trial, and the name of the barristers. And we've had some of those forms with incomplete information accepted by some courts and rejected by others.
And this is just for something which, of course, is the public is fully paid for. The actual recordings exist, the data exists. You, of course, are doing this not as a victim. Can you imagine what this process must be like for someone who is a victim and is trying to get their own court transcripts?
Right, and I found recently, if you're unhappy with the sentencing that was handed down during the trial, you can actually challenge that with the Attorney General. But there's a 28-day window in order to make a submission to the AG. So in order to make that submission to the AG, you'd really need to be able to make a compelling argument in order to, challenge the sentencing. How are you meant to do that if you can't access the sentencing remarks of the actual trial? Like, imagine being someone that's been wronged by the courts once, has to navigate this bureaucracy. And Lawrence, there's another egregious thing that I've not even told you about yet, which is we tried to access a trial from, I think it was 2012. And the email we got back said that they don't have records that go back longer than 7 years. So
what? You're trying to get a case from 2012 and you've been told no because they literally don't have the recording anymore.
That's right. They keep 7 years of recordings. And I didn't believe this, so I emailed them to say, like, please, can you clarify? And the email that I got back, and I'm quoting this here, the email said, technology years ago wasn't as it is now.
That is absolutely astounding. They just don't exist.
The email that I got indicated that this was every court. They're required to keep data for 7 years, and then past that length, they just seem to destroy it.
That is absolutely astounding.
There's also the trauma of going through the trials. A lot of the grooming gang trials in particular, there are so many defendants, 22 in some cases, that the girls will have, because these people are sentenced individually, and usually sometimes trialed individually, the girls will have to give testimony in 22 different cases. It can be like extremely horrible to go through. To process that years afterwards, the trauma of going through the court itself, the transcripts are absolutely necessary.
And it should be a right that doesn't require multiple hoops and unknown expenses when the taxpayer themselves have paid for this at the outset and the trial was already public. I mean, you've also got a problem, of course, with judges actually refusing you. A whole other problem too, that even if you go through the system, of course, you are facing some refusals.
Another thing that confuses me is, if you've seen in the Telegraph recently, they've been running these stories about deportation cases, about like the guy that couldn't be deported because his son likes chicken nuggets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The reason that all of these cases are public is because for some reason, transcripts of those decisions are uploaded automatically. So the technology in the system exists. It's functional in some part of the justice system, but not all of it. I don't understand why, if we're doing that for deportation decisions, why we're not capable of doing that for every crime or at least very serious crimes.
This is not something that should require an entire team of people or to be outsourced internationally. This is something that we can do now. It is something that technology allows us to do now, and incredibly cheaply and incredibly quickly. And it's already public information. But we, of course, also have to stop them deleting these after 7 years.